observation stations, the great species of the galaxy studied the small blue world. They saw wars, division, pollution, and short lives. They saw humans fight each other with crude weapons while dreaming of the stars they could not yet reach. In the Union chambers, Earth was a joke. "They are loud," said Counselor Vesh of the Thaurex hive, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "They fight themselves more than any enemy. They burn their own world," added Ambassador Kree of the Valari, her silver skin glowing faintly. "No discipline. No unity." The Union agreed. Humans were ranked Category 6, primitive, unstable, and harmless. So when humanity finally built faster-than-light engines and sent its first diplomatic ship beyond Sol, the reaction was laughter. The human vessel Odyssey Dawn entered Union space slowly, shields low, weapons powered down. It was small compared to the massive alien cruisers surrounding it. Its hull was white and scarred, not elegant like Valari crystal ships or Thaurex living metal vessels. Captain Elias Monroe stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back. "Receiving transmission," said Lieutenant Asha Patel. The hologram of Counselor Vesh appeared. His eyes were cold and amused. "Human," Vesh said, not bothering to hide his contempt. "You have entered Union territory without permission." Monroe nodded calmly. "We come in peace. We request dialogue, trade, and mutual recognition." The chamber burst into alien laughter. "Recognition?" Vesh said. "Your kind barely survived its own planet. You are not ready for galactic affairs." Monroe's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed steady. "We learn fast." The Union voted quickly. Earth would not be destroyed. That would be unnecessary. Instead, humanity would be placed under protectorate observation. No expansion. No military development beyond their system. Any violation would be punished. The humans accepted. Publicly. When the Odyssey Dawn returned to Earth, global leaders watched Monroe's report in silence. Some were angry. Some were afraid. But others were thinking. In underground facilities, on orbital stations, and deep within data vaults, humanity began to plan. If the galaxy thought humans were weak, humans would use that. Earth did not challenge the Union. Instead, it complied perfectly. No aggressive moves. No protests. Behind the scenes, everything changed. Scientists were given unlimited funding. Artificial intelligence development was quietly accelerated. Military research was hidden inside civilian projects. Fusion engines became energy solutions. Nanotech became medical tools. Humanity did what it always had done best. It adapted. 10 years passed. Then 20. The Union barely noticed. Until the mining world of Carthax went silent. Carthax was a Union-controlled planet rich in rare metals. When communication stopped, the Union assumed pirates. A Thaurex patrol fleet arrived and found wreckage. Clean cuts through living metal hulls. Power cores removed. No bodies. Only a symbol burned into the planet's surface. A simple blue circle. Part 2. First Blood Among the Stars. 800 words. Panic spread through the Union. "This is impossible," Counselor Vesh hissed. "Humans lack the technology." Yet evidence said otherwise. Another world fell. Then another. Always Union supply hubs. Always precise strikes. No civilian damage. No survivors among military targets. The Valari demanded action. "We underestimated them," Ambassador Kree said. "That is our error. But errors can be corrected." A task force was assembled, 3 species, 50 warships, led by Admiral Threx of the Thaurex hive. Their destination, Sol. Earth detected the fleet before it crossed the outer system. Admiral Renata Cole stood in the command chamber beneath Luna. Around her, holograms showed alien ships advancing in perfect formation. "Orders?" asked a young officer. Cole smiled grimly. Phase 1. The aliens expected resistance near Earth. Instead they found nothing. No fleets. No stations. Just silence. Then space itself bent. Human ships appeared inside the alien formation. Not by warp. Not by gates. They jumped directly. Alien sensors screamed. Shields failed before they could activate. Human weapons did not fire energy beams or plasma. They fired ideas. Gravitic lances collapsed ships inward. Time distortion mines froze vessels mid-thought. AI-driven drones swarmed through hulls like insects, dismantling systems piece by piece. Admiral Threx roared in fury. "Fire everything." But his commands came too late. A human ship moved closer, sleek and black, marked with white letters. "Unus Resolve." A transmission opened. Admiral Cole's face appeared. You came to teach us a lesson, she said. Let us return the favor. The human fleet did not destroy the aliens. They disabled them. Every ship was left drifting. Powerless. Alive. A message followed. This is your warning. The Union reeled. Emergency sessions were called. Species argued, blamed, and threatened each other. How did they advance so fast? One counselor shouted. They were pretending, Cree whispered. They let us believe they were weak. Meanwhile, humanity spoke openly for the first time. A broadcast echoed across known space. This is Earth, said Secretary General Malik Okoye. We did not seek war. We sought respect. You denied us both. The message was calm, controlled. And now, Okoye continued, you will listen. The Union declared humanity an enemy. War had begun. Part 3: The Galaxy Burns. 800 words. The Union struck back with overwhelming force. Entire armadas moved toward human space. Worlds loyal to Earth were threatened. Trade routes collapsed. Stars burned as fleets clashed. Humanity fought differently. They did not defend territory. They attacked systems. Communication relays vanished. Supply chains were cut. Political leaders were exposed through leaked data. Ancient rivalries between alien species were quietly inflamed. Humans studied their enemies' cultures as carefully as their ships. The Thalrex valued hierarchy, so humans assassinated commanders and let confusion spread. The Valari depended on shared thought networks, so humans flooded them with contradictory information until their unity shattered. On the battlefield, humans adapted in real time. AI commanders rewrote strategies mid-fight. Soldiers used modular weapons that changed function during combat. An alien general watched in horror as a human platoon survived an ambush that should have killed them 10 times over. They changed tactics instantly, he whispered. They enjoy chaos. But the war was costly. Earth lost colonies. Cities burned. Millions died. In a ruined hospital on Mars, Admiral Cole spoke to a wounded Marine. Was it worth it? He asked weakly. She took his hand. We're still here. That's always worth it. The Union attempted its final move. A superweapon. Ancient. Forbidden. The Star Eater. If activated near Sol, it would collapse Earth's sun. The fleet escorting it was the largest ever assembled. Human intelligence discovered it too late. Or so the Union believed. The silence from Carthax shook the Galactic Union far more than any declaration of war. For 3 full cycles, no signals came from the mining world. No trade ships arrived. No distress call echoed through subspace. At first, the Union assumed a simple malfunction. Carthax was old, its infrastructure layered over centuries. Then a Valari merchant vessel found the wreckage. The ship's captain sent a single image before fleeing. Union warships torn open as if by invisible claws, their living metal hulls sliced with impossible precision. The mining platforms were intact. The cities untouched. Only military assets were destroyed. And burned into the planet's iron-red surface was a symbol no one in the Union could mistake. A blue circle. A single line crossing it. Emergency alarms screamed through the Union Council chamber. Holograms flickered as representatives appeared in panic, anger, and disbelief. This is a provocation, roared Counselor Vesh of the Thalrex Hive. His mandibles clacked violently. Humans do not possess such weapons. Ambassador Cree of the Valari stared at the image in silence. Her glowing eyes narrowed. They do now. The Union had made its first mistake long ago, assuming technological growth followed predictable paths. Humans had never followed rules well. Within hours, the Union voted for retaliation. A combined task force was formed, larger than anything ever sent against a single system. 50 warships. 3 species. 1 goal. End the human threat before it spread. At the edge of Sol, the human outer defenses watched quietly. Admiral Renata Cole stood in the Lunar Command Vault, a vast chamber carved beneath the moon's surface. Around her, holographic stars shifted as alien fleets crossed into sensor range. They're coming fast, said Commander Zhao. Full battle formation. Cole nodded. As expected. No fear touched her face. Only focus. Phase 1, she said calmly. Across Earth and its colonies, thousands of systems activated. Civilian traffic vanished from sensors. Orbital stations powered down. Even Earth itself dimmed as cities went dark. To the Union fleet it looked like surrender. Admiral Threx of the Thalrex Hive watched the readings with satisfaction. They hide, he said. As prey should. Then space folded. Without warning, human ships appeared inside the Union formation. Not emerging from warp lanes. Not slipping through gates. They simply existed where they should not have been. Alarms exploded across alien bridges. Shields failed before they could rise. Targeting systems screamed with impossible data. What is happening? Threx roared. The first human weapon fired without light or sound. A Union cruiser collapsed inward, crushed by its own gravity. Another froze mid-motion, trapped in a bubble where time slowed to near stillness. Swarms of small, sharp-edged drones poured through hull breaches, cutting power lines and disabling life support with surgical care. Human ships moved like predators, silent, coordinated, terrifyingly precise. They are not destroying us, a Thalrex officer hissed in confusion. They are disarming us. On the bridge of the UNS Resolve, Admiral Cole watched calmly. Minimal casualties, she ordered. Let them live. Let them remember. A Thalrex battleship spun helplessly as its engines died. A Valari command ship went dark, its shared thought network severed by cascading signal attacks that left its crew conscious but isolated in their own minds. Within minutes, the mighty Union task force was reduced to drifting metal. A transmission cut through the chaos. Admiral Cole's image appeared on every alien screen. You came here to remind us of our place, she said evenly. You believed we would respond with fear. She leaned forward slightly. We responded with preparation. Admiral Threx snarled. You violate Union law. You will be erased. Cole's eyes hardened. You already tried to erase us. This is restraint. The transmission ended. Human ships vanished as suddenly as they had arrived. The disabled Union fleet floated in silence, alive but humiliated. Back in the Union Council chamber, shock turned into terror. They neutralized 50 warships without declaring war, one counselor whispered. If this is restraint, what is their full strength? Ambassador Kree finally spoke. Her voice was quiet, heavy with realization. We did not watch them closely enough. While we laughed, they studied us. As if on cue, every major communication hub in Union space received a message. A calm human voice echoed across the stars. This is Earth. We are not your enemies, yet. But we will no longer be dismissed, contained, or ruled. The message paused just long enough to sink in. You underestimated us. That mistake ends now. Throughout the galaxy, ancient powers felt something they had not felt in millennia. Fear. The war had not begun with fire. It had begun with a lesson. And humanity had only just begun teaching. The Union answered fear with fury. Within days of Earth's broadcast, the Galactic Union declared humanity a Class 1 existential threat. Ancient treaties were broken in panic. Old rivals were forced into alliance. Shipyards across 1,000 systems burned day and night, building fleets meant not to conquer, but to exterminate. The galaxy had decided, humans would not be reasoned with. They would be erased. On Earth, the declaration was received in silence. Secretary-General Malik Okoye stood before the Global Council, his voice steady but grim. They are afraid, he said. Fear makes them predictable. Admiral Renata Cole appeared beside him as a hologram. And desperation makes them sloppy. Humanity did not gather its fleets around Earth. Instead they scattered. To the Union it looked like chaos. In reality it was design. The first major clash came at Tir Vannon, a Union logistics nexus orbiting a blue gas giant. Hundreds of supply ships arrived there every cycle, feeding Union armadas pushing toward human space. Union commanders expected resistance at the front lines. Instead, humans struck the arteries. Without warning, Tir Vannon's jump gates shut down. Human infiltration AIs had been seeded months earlier through civilian trade software. The gates did not explode, they simply refused to open. Union defense fleets rushed in. They arrived too late. Human strike groups emerged from the gas giant's atmosphere itself, using gravity surfing drives the Union did not understand. Missiles followed impossible curves, changing course mid-flight. Boarding pods slammed into Union ships, releasing soldiers in adaptive armor that shifted color, density, and shape as it absorbed damage. On one shattered bridge, a Valari commander stared in disbelief as human marines advanced through fire. They should be dead, she whispered. The human leading the squad spoke calmly through external speakers. We've died before, he said. We learned. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it ended, Tir Vannon was gone. Its stations dismantled, supplies captured or destroyed, and data cores stripped clean. Human ships vanished again, leaving behind nothing but wreckage and a growing terror. Across Union space, similar strikes followed. Communication relays failed simultaneously across dozens of systems. Fleets arrived at rally points that no longer existed. Orders contradicted each other as human cyber warfare flooded command networks with perfect imitations of Union authority. Alien admirals began to doubt their own leaders. In the Union Council chamber, panic shattered centuries of discipline. "This is not warfare," Counselor Vesh snarled. "This is sabotage." Ambassador Kree turned her glowing eyes toward him. "It is strategy. Something we assumed humans lacked." The Union launched its counteroffensive at Erethus, a human-aligned colony world. The sky burned as alien ships rained fire onto orbital defenses. For the first time, humans fought defensively. Erethus shields flared and bent, absorbing fire through layered energy harmonics. Cities retreated underground. Civilians were evacuated through hidden jump tunnels. On the surface, Colonel James Carter watched the horizon glow red. "They think we'll break," his lieutenant said. Carter shook his head. "They don't understand what breaking taught us." When Union ground forces landed, they found empty cities. Then the cities moved. Buildings unfolded into armored bastions. Streets split open, revealing concealed rail cannons. Human drones rose like swarms of metal birds, guided by battlefield AIs that adapted faster than any organic mind. Union troops advanced in rigid formations. Humans did not meet them head-on. They hit supply units, command squads, medical centers. They faded, regrouped, and struck again from new angles. Every engagement rewrote itself. A Thalrex general slammed his claws against the tactical display. "They do not follow doctrine." "No," a strategist replied quietly. "They rewrite it." Despite losses, humanity paid a price. A human research world was glassed when evacuation failed. Millions died in seconds. The news reached Earth in a silent wave of grief. In a darkened room, Admiral Cole stood alone, watching the casualty numbers climb. "We can't outnumber them forever," a junior officer said softly. Cole's voice was cold steel. "We don't need to." Human intelligence had uncovered something else. Something the Union never imagined humans would dare to use. The Union was not one civilization. It was many, bound by fear and convenience. And fear could be turned. Secret messages spread through back channels. Proof of Union corruption leaked. Old betrayals resurfaced. Species long treated as expendable began to question why they were dying for a council that mocked them. On the battlefield, human ships began avoiding certain fleets. Those fleets soon withdrew. Back in the Union chamber, Ambassador Kree finally said the words no one else dared to speak. "This war cannot be won by force alone," she said. "Not against a species that adapts faster every time it bleeds." Counselor Vesh's mandibles trembled. "For the first time," he whispered, "I believe we may lose." The galaxy burned, not because humans were strong, but because they learned faster than anyone else ever had. And the Union was learning too late. The Star Eater loomed at the edge of Sol's system like a shadow that swallowed stars. A weapon older than most Union species, powered by forbidden energies and capable of collapsing a sun into nothingness. Its presence alone was enough to make seasoned admirals tremble. Admiral Threx's fleet surrounded it in perfect formation, their thrumming engines resonating through subspace. Each ship carried thousands of soldiers, tens of thousands of drones, and weapons that could turn a planet to molten rock in minutes. The galaxy had thrown everything at Earth, an entire armada and its ultimate weapon. Back on Earth, the world was eerily silent. Cities went dark. Satellites powered down. Orbital defense arrays were inactive. For the Union, it looked like the humans were ready to surrender. "They've gone quiet," Threx said, his mandibles clacking nervously. "They will fall without resistance." "Perhaps they've accepted their fate," Kree added, her silver skin reflecting the pale light of Sol. Admiral Cole stood on Luna's command vault, eyes locked on the readings of the incoming fleet. The UNS Resolve and its sister ships drifted in orbital positions, engines dormant, shields low. "Activate the trap," Cole said simply. Her officers exchanged glances. "But, Admiral, they'll see us as vulnerable." "That's the point," she replied. "They already believe it." The human plan relied not on raw firepower, but on centuries of preparation. Deep within Sol, orbital stations had secretly harnessed stellar plasma flows. Nanotech drones were embedded in every human vessel, capable of manipulating gravitic fields. AIs, hidden behind civilian systems for decades, now orchestrated a symphony of destruction. As the Star Eater initiated its approach, humans did nothing. The Union fleet laughed at the apparent inaction. No orbital defenses. No warning. No threat. Then the sun changed. At first it was subtle, a flicker in the corona. Union sensors detected an anomaly but could not pinpoint it. Within seconds, gravitational waves rippled outward from the solar surface. The Star Eater's containment field fluctuated, its immense energy unstable. "What is happening?" an alien admiral shouted as readings went haywire. Cole's voice cut through human communications, broadcasted directly to every Union bridge. "You tried to end us with fear," she said. Calm, composed, almost serene. "We've weaponized your fear instead." The Star Eater's energy intake exceeded its design. Human engineers had not blocked it, they had fed it. Plasma siphons drew its destructive energy into controlled singularities, bending its power back upon the fleet escorting it. The Star Eater trembled, glowing brighter than any star in the system. Union fleets scrambled, weapons firing wildly, but every strike was anticipated. Human AI directed shields to adjust in real time, redirecting plasma flows, neutralizing missiles, and even destabilizing alien energy signatures. Then came the collapse. The Star Eater imploded inward, not a violent explosion but a surgical annihilation. The escort fleet was caught in the singularity's pull. Ships twisted, hulls compressed, energy cores imploded, and in moments the mightiest armada ever assembled in the galaxy ceased to exist. Not a single human ship was harmed. Admiral Threx screamed into open comms. "Impossible. Every calculation, every tactic, fail." A new transmission appeared across every Union channel. Admiral Cole, aboard the UNS Resolve, spoke directly to the remnants of the fleet. "You came here to destroy us. We showed restraint. You pushed us to the edge. Now you understand the cost of underestimating humanity." The Union fleet, shocked and leaderless, began a chaotic retreat. Thalrex, Valari, and others struggled to maintain cohesion. The Star Eater's remnants, now dormant and contained within precise gravitational fields, floated harmlessly in Sol's orbit, a reminder of what humanity could achieve when pushed. Throughout Union space, planets watched, trembling. News spread of the Battle of Sol. The humans had not only survived the galaxy's most terrifying weapon, but had turned it back against their enemies. Within the command vault beneath Luna, Admiral Cole turned to her officers. "They will come again. They always do. But we've shown them that nothing they hold can break us." Outside, the sun's corona shimmered, plasma arcs dancing like silent guardians. Humanity had transformed the symbol of ultimate destruction into a weapon of precision, demonstrating not brute strength, but ingenuity, foresight, and absolute control. Even Ambassador Kree, a veteran of 1,000 wars, whispered to herself as she observed from the edge of Sol via a distant observation post. They are not just strong. They are apex." The trap had succeeded, and humanity had finally revealed its full potential, not as a primitive species but as a force capable of reshaping the galaxy itself. And for the Union, the war had only just begun. The shockwaves of Sol rippled through the galaxy. Entire Union worlds went silent, unsure whether the humans would strike next. Panic replaced strategy in the council chambers as alien leaders realized that humanity's capabilities were beyond anything they had imagined. Counselor Vesh's mandibles clicked nervously as he watched reports pour in. "Every fleet we send is neutralized, crippled, or turned against us. How is this possible?" Ambassador Kree's silver skin reflected the harsh light of the council chamber. "They don't fight like we do. They anticipate, adapt, and exploit fear itself. Every decision we make has been predicted, yet we think it's clever to continue." Union fleets, once the proud symbol of power across the stars, began to collapse. Some species, seeing the humans' methods and foresight, surrendered before their worlds were destroyed. Others attempted resistance, only to find human strategy omnipresent and devastating. On Earth, Admiral Renata Cole watched reports of alien capitals falling in precision strikes. Data feeds showed entire political networks shredded, corrupt leaders exposed, and civil unrest ignited in previously loyal worlds. Humans had learned more than war, they had learned manipulation of galactic politics. "It's working," Cole said quietly. "They're crumbling from within. They don't realize it yet." Colonel James Carter, observing a display of Union capitals surrendering, frowned. "And yet, millions will die if we continue. How many is too many?" Cole didn't flinch. "This isn't about death. It's about survival. Sometimes, to prevent greater catastrophe, sacrifices are inevitable. But we minimize where we can." The campaign to dismantle the Union culminated at Calestis Prime, the symbolic heart of the Council, a city of crystalline towers orbiting a gas giant. Humanity had prepared for months. Espionage agents, embedded as traitors, diplomats, and even Union scholars, had sown chaos within the council. Supply chains were fractured. Civilian and military communication lines were manipulated. When human strike fleets arrived, they did not bombard the planet. They disabled orbital defenses silently, while infiltration units moved through abandoned gates and tunnels, taking control of key infrastructure. By the time Union leaders realized the threat, humans were already in the command chambers, controlling the city's systems. Councillor Vesh was dragged from his chamber, claws trembling as he faced human tribunal leaders. You are weak," he hissed, his voice shaking with fury and disbelief. "You should have stayed small. You should have obeyed." Secretary General Malik Okoye looked at him calmly. "We tried to live quietly. We tried diplomacy. You denied us respect and equality. We did not come here to conquer. We came to survive, and now to prevent further bloodshed caused by your arrogance." Vesh roared, but his words fell on deaf ears. Across the galaxy, Union worlds watched their leaders dismantled, humbled, and forced into submission. Even Ambassador Kree, once proud and defiant, acknowledged humanity's unique approach. In a broadcast across Union space, she addressed all species. "Humans are not merely strong. They are relentless, intelligent, and adaptive beyond our understanding. They do not fight for pride or domination but for survival, honor, and principle. We underestimated them and we nearly destroyed ourselves for it." The Union Council dissolved within cycles. Species previously bound by fear and hierarchy re-evaluated their place in the galaxy. Some sought alliance, others offered tribute or assistance. Human diplomacy, backed by overwhelming strategic dominance, offered security and guidance, but never oppression. On Earth, Admiral Cole observed the unfolding political landscape. "We've won the war," she said. "But we must win the peace as well. Power without wisdom is dangerous." The tribunal convened to determine the fate of captured leaders. Vesh and other high-ranking officials were spared execution, but stripped of rank, authority, and influence. They were sentenced to serve as advisors under careful supervision, their pride broken but their knowledge retained. "Humans are different," Kree remarked quietly as she left the tribunal chamber. "They respect strength, but only when paired with intelligence and restraint. That is what makes them apex." Even after the Union's fall, humanity did not celebrate. There was no triumphalism, no declaration of conquest. Instead, the galaxy witnessed something new, a species that had been underestimated, mocked, and dismissed, now standing as a protector, not a tyrant. Colonel Carter, looking at the alien prisoners, shook his head. "They'll never forgive us." Admiral Cole smiled faintly. "They won't need to. They will remember. That is enough." Across the galaxy, planets rebuilt. Trade resumed. Old rivalries cooled as humans mediated disputes with clarity and fairness. The lesson was clear: underestimate humans at your own peril. The fall of the Union had been decisive, but more importantly, it had reshaped the galaxy's understanding of strength, intelligence, and resilience. Humanity had proven that survival was not about sheer numbers or brute force. It was about adaptability, foresight, and unyielding determination. And the galaxy would never forget that lesson. The ashes of the Union smoldered across the galaxy, but humanity did not step in as conquerors. Instead, they became architects of a new order, an interstellar society designed not by fear, but by intelligence, foresight, and cooperation. Earth became the seat of the Galactic Council of Humanity, a body that included representatives from allied and former Union species alike. Former enemies were offered positions, voices, and protection. Those who resisted were carefully monitored but not destroyed. The lesson had been learned. Fear could enforce compliance temporarily, but respect and opportunity ensured lasting stability. Secretary General Malik Okoye stood at the first assembly of the new council. The chamber was vast, circular, and constructed of transparent materials that gave the illusion of floating in space. Around him, ambassadors from dozens of species, Thalrex, Valari, Eurethi, and even minor worlds previously ignored, watched silently. "We did not rise to power through conquest," Okoye said, his voice carrying clearly across the assembly. "We rose because survival demanded unity. You will not serve under humans as masters, but alongside us as equals. You will learn, as we did, that cooperation is stronger than fear." Ambassador Kree rose, her silver skin shimmering. "We doubted you," she admitted, her voice resonating through the chamber. "We thought humans were primitive. We were wrong. We see now that intelligence is not measured in weapons or fleets, but in foresight, adaptability, and resolve. Even Counselor Vesh, once prideful and defiant, stood to speak. His mandibles clicked nervously. "We underestimated you. Not again. We will follow your guidance, though it humbles me to admit it." The Council voted unanimously to adopt new interstellar agreements proposed by humanity. Trade regulations, environmental protections, and mutual defense protocols were established. Humanity's centuries-long experience of scarcity, adaptation, and survival became the model. Across the galaxy, humans did not enforce these policies with fleets of ships. Instead, their presence alone was enough. The memory of Sol, the Star Eater, and the precise dismantling of the Union had taught the galaxy that humanity was not just strong, they were apex strategists. Yet the work was not without difficulty. Some species resisted, their pride bruised, their civilizations traumatized. Covert operations, diplomatic interventions, and occasionally surgical strikes were necessary to prevent rogue actors from destabilizing the fragile peace. Humans acted decisively, but always with the intent to restore balance rather than dominate. On the former Union homeworlds, the population watched in awe as humans helped rebuild. Cities that had been designed for hierarchy and oppression were transformed into centers of education, innovation, and cooperation. Humans shared technology and knowledge without forcing dependency. AI systems, once secret, were deployed openly to help coordinate logistics, agriculture, and healthcare, all while respecting each species' autonomy. Young Valari children studied human history in schools for the first time. They survived because they adapted, a teacher explained. Every challenge made them stronger. Every loss taught them wisdom. That is why humans are apex. On Earth, Admiral Cole and Secretary General Okoye reviewed the new fleet deployments, not for war but for exploration. The galaxy was vast and humanity's place was no longer merely defensive. They would explore, protect, and guide. Colonel James Carter stood beside Cole, watching ships jump through newly constructed gates to distant systems. "Do you ever wonder if we pushed too far?" he asked quietly. Cole smiled faintly. "No. We fought only when necessary and always with precision. We've shown restraint, intelligence, and adaptability. That is our strength. Humanity does not break. And the galaxy has learned that lesson." On a distant observation platform, Ambassador Kree watched human ships disappear into the void. "They are more than conquerors," she whispered. "They are guardians. And they are patient. That patience is the most dangerous weapon we could never match." Across the stars, whispers spread among species formerly bound to fear. The humans were not tyrants, not warmongers, but something entirely new. They were the species that could outthink, outlast, and outmaneuver anyone, yet never used their power to enslave. The new order was not perfect. Tensions remained. Rogue factions still schemed. But humanity's leadership established a precedent. The galaxy's survival was more important than pride. Unity was stronger than discord. Intelligence was stronger than brute force. And in this era of fragile peace, humans had cemented a simple truth. They had not just survived, they had reshaped the galaxy, proving that adaptability, cunning, and moral restraint could elevate a species above all others. For the first time in galactic history, species across light years of space no longer feared humans in the traditional sense. They respected them. They learned from them. And deep in the hearts of every alien observer, there was an unspoken understanding. To underestimate humanity ever again would be fatal. The galaxy had changed. The humans had won, not through conquest but through wisdom, precision, and resilience. And the story of the apex species was only beginning. Years passed. The galaxy had healed, though the scars of the Union War lingered in memories, archives, and the ruins of once proud capitals. Humanity did not celebrate victories. They understood that power without responsibility was empty. On the orbital city of Luna Prime, now the administrative heart of the Galactic Council of Humanity, Admiral Renata Cole observed fleets of exploration vessels preparing for their next jumps. These ships were sleek, versatile, and equipped for diplomacy, research, and defense, but not for domination. Beside her, Secretary General Malik Okoye studied holographic maps of Union remnants. "The galaxy still has challenges," he said. "But we've proven that survival and intelligence can reshape history. That is our legacy." Cole nodded. "They watch us differently now. Every move, every decision is noted. The respect we earned, it is fragile but it exists. And it will last longer than fear ever could." Far away, on a newly established Valari research world, Ambassador Kree addressed a crowd of students from dozens of species. The auditorium was silent as she spoke. "For centuries we believed humans were primitive, she said, her glowing silver skin reflecting the auditorium lights. We thought they would break, that they would fail. But we were wrong. They survived, adapted, and ultimately reshaped the galaxy, not through war but through ingenuity, patience, and unyielding resolve. That is why they are apex. A Valari child whispered to a friend, they survived impossible odds, and taught us everything. Even Counselor Vesh, long humbled and now serving as a senior advisor under careful supervision, quietly recorded his thoughts for history. They are not merely strong. They are intelligent, cunning, and patient. Their strength lies in foresight and restraint, qualities our species rarely practices. They are apex. Humanity, however, had not grown arrogant. Across countless star systems, their fleets patrolled trade routes, escorted research convoys, and mediated disputes. Every action reinforced a single principle. Humans protected the galaxy not because they sought control, but because they had learned that unchecked chaos destroyed all life, including their own. On Earth, a memorial was held for the millions lost during the war. Names etched in stone, holographic images projected their faces into the sky. Admiral Cole spoke to the crowd, her voice carrying through silence. We fought not to dominate, she said. We fought to survive, to endure, and to ensure the galaxy learned a simple truth. Never underestimate humans. We are patient, we are adaptive, and we are relentless. But above all, we are responsible for our own survival, and the protection of those who cannot yet defend themselves. From orbit, the UNS Resolve and its sister ships watched the Earthrise, a symbol that humanity remained vigilant, ready, and unbowed. The galaxy had seen their restraint, their power, and their wisdom. They had learned that mocking or underestimating humans carried a cost beyond measure. In the far reaches of the Orion Expanse, a young Thalrex general studied human tactical simulations. His instructors reminded him of the Battle of Sol, the dismantling of the Union, and the precision strikes across Union worlds. They do not fight like us, he whispered to his cadets. They anticipate, adapt, and conquer without killing unnecessarily. That is why they are apex. Across multiple species, children learned human history not as propaganda, but as cautionary and inspiring truth. They studied human resilience, adaptability, and intelligence. Even former enemies began to emulate strategies, governance, and approaches to conflict management pioneered by Earth's people. In a quiet chamber beneath the rebuilt Martian research colony, Admiral Cole reflected on the years past. Humanity had endured the scorn, the mockery, and the combined wrath of the galaxy, and emerged not merely intact, but dominant in influence, respect, and wisdom. Colonel James Carter, older now and decorated, approached her. Do you think they will ever underestimate us again? He asked. Cole smiled faintly, a hint of both humor and gravitas. Some will always try, she replied. But they will learn the same lesson every time. Humans do not break. We endure. We adapt. And when pushed to the edge, we evolve. That is the difference between survival and supremacy. Outside, human ships prepared to explore new galaxies, carrying ambassadors, scientists, and explorers to the edges of known space. Each jump, each mission reinforced humanity's presence, not as conquerors but as guardians, educators, and innovators. Even as new challenges emerged, rogue AI, uncharted phenomena, and distant unknown civilizations, the galaxy now knew a fundamental truth. Humans were apex. Not because of brute force. Not because of numbers. Not because of weapons. But because of adaptability, intelligence, foresight, and moral restraint. And in the eyes of every alien who once mocked Earth, there remained one undeniable fact. The species they had laughed at, dismissed, and underestimated had become the unquestioned apex of the galaxy. As the sun rose over a restored Earth, Admiral Cole looked out across the horizon. Ships glimmered in orbit, humanity thriving among the stars. She whispered quietly to herself. They thought we were weak, until the war began. And now they will never forget. The galaxy was no longer laughing. It was watching, learning, and respecting the apex species, humans. And so ended the war that changed everything, and began the era where humanity's name became synonymous with resilience, cunning, and unyielding supremacy. The stars themselves seemed to bow, not in fear but in acknowledgement of humanity's rightful place among them.